kick us off. And I want to talk about XO19. Kicked off today in
was that today?
in London, across the pond. And a lot of stuff was announced. I'm not going to go through every single thing that was announced because it was a ton. But we got some world premiere trailers from Xbox owned studios. We got some first to Xbox announcements. We got some gameplay trailers for games that had already been announced. And so I just kind of want to have an open discussion about XO19, and we can you guys can take this however you want, whether it's a specific game that was really exciting to you, whether it's general thoughts on the feel of and the messaging behind the conference. But just want to open it up to you guys, like what to you stuck out about this kickoff to XO19.
First off, Microsoft is just killing it right now, man. Every time I watch one of their events, I'm just so excited for the future of Xbox. And before you write me off as a Microsoft fanboy, which in a lot of ways I am, there's plenty of documentation on this podcast and our old podcast about just how disappointed I've been in Microsoft this whole console generation. And so it feels really good to see so much on the horizon. A lot of games stood out to me. There are a lot of games that I'm looking forward to playing. I'm finally sold on I need to get around to getting Games Pass just so I can jump in and play all these things because there's no hope of me buying them. The two games that I'm most excited about, one is Halo Reach coming to PC, and not even for myself. I'm excited for that because if you haven't played Halo Reach, that is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of Halo games. And I'm excited for other people to taste that game who have not had that experience yet. And then one that really surprised me was Minecraft Dungeons. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I had no interest in that game, and then when I watched it, I was like, this looks like a really fun game to sit down with my wife and my kids and just mash buttons.
Yeah, so let's take those in order of you bringing them up. So Reach is coming to all platforms on December 3rd, which is something we did not know, correct? This is a brand new release date for us.
Yeah.
And so with it coming to the Master Chief Collection, that also means it's going to be a part of Xbox Game Pass on both PC and console. So yeah, that's really cool to me. I've never played Reach. Larry has always talked Reach up. I think I've watched ODST. I don't think I've ever experienced Reach at all. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to play that.
Optic Nerve agrees in the chat. He says Reach is definitely the best, in my opinion. Well, your opinion is factually correct.
And then Minecraft Dungeons is cool. Like, I agree. After watching the what they showed of it, I was like, well, it's very Diablo-esque, right? Like, kind of top down, like you said, button mashy dungeon crawler. And
it reminded me of Gauntlet. And Gauntlet holds a special place in my childhood memories.
I don't even know what that is.
Same kind of game, but the people weren't blocky.
Oh, okay. What year was this? Because they may have been.
Well, yeah, you're right. The one that I enjoyed the most was on the N64, so they definitely were.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Cody, what stuck out to you?
A few things. Definitely their continued emphasis on Game Pass. Like, this thing just keeps on getting more and more worth it. The more things they put on there. I like, they announced a few games that are coming to it. They announced some games that are being added to it tonight, I believe. They said so Rage 2 Age of Empires 2 are launching today, and Darksiders 3 and The Witcher 3, which you know I stan, is coming later this year. I'm actually tempted to get The Witcher 3 again on Xbox, I'm not gonna lie, even though I know I won't have any time to play it.
Hey, I've bought Skyrim 3 times, no judgment.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I just like this. Game Pass is just getting more and more worth it the longer it goes on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cancel Disney Plus and pick up Game Pass because I don't have time to watch anything once I do that.
Exactly. It's just I don't know, it seems like a great service.
Well, and it is a snowball rolling down a hill because I feel like there's very little that comes out of Game Pass. Like once it's on there for the most part. Now they do rotate some stuff in and out. So just over time, it is accumulating this volume that's impossible to ignore.
Games, I think.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy.
And then once that's paired with xCloud,
yes,
which xCloud is what stood out to me the most. But
we're gonna have a whole separate topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the partnership with xCloud is massive, and I'm sure we will definitely talk about that with your topic, Larry. I guess the only other thing that stood out to me is just Microsoft's continued kind of renewed emphasis on games. And for me, what stood out in terms of games was some of the new stuff they announced. I didn't think I'd be excited about it just based on the concept, but the style of it and the fact that it's a multiplayer makes Grounded super appealing to me. Which is the survival, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids game from Obsidian.
Yeah.
Which it just looks really fun. I do like survival games, but I always wish I could play them with friends on console. Like there are a lot of really good multiplayer survival games on PC, not so much on console. So I'm hoping this one is excellent. And from what I was reading an accompanying kind of Kotaku report about kind of hands-on the experience Nathan Grayson had with it, and a lot of the stuff sounds super interesting. The fact that it'll have a fully kind of evolved ecosystem with various bugs and creatures to the point where you can completely kill off a segment of the ecosystem, and then that impacts the rest of the ecosystem. So you can kill off the entire aphid population, and then ladybugs start dying. So there's some like really grim circumstances that can occur in this game. But that looked really fun to me. That stood out.
Yeah, your point about co-op survival games, like thinking about it, that's really the only time I get into a survival game. Like, we had a couple months stretch where me, Larry, and a bunch of other friends played a bunch of Minecraft. There was another stretch where for like a month, Larry and I played a ton of 7 Days to Die. Was that me and you?
Yeah.
And that game was a ton of fun, but I would never play those games by myself because I'm not big on like inventory management and all of those systems, but I think it's a lot more fun when you're talking about it with somebody else.
Definitely. And it's just a great, you start to kind of collaboratively build ideas off of one another. So like I would never play Minecraft by myself, but the idea that my friend and I can think together and we're like, oh, we want to build this castle. Let's work together to build that castle. Kind of, as you said, mitigate some of the drudgery inherent in a lot of survival games. The only other new game that was super interesting to me is the Don't Nod game. Tell Me Why. I like Don't Nod games quite a bit. I liked Life is Strange the first season that I played. And I think, especially because this is an Xbox exclusive, from what I understand, right?
Yeah,
it's exclusive for Xbox. The fact that Microsoft is putting its weight behind a game like this with a trans protagonist speaks volumes. Now, like getting eyes on it is one thing, and executing on it authentically is another thing. So that always worries me when people kind of approach this kind of material, but Don't Nod has kind of proven its ability to tackle LGBTQIA folks with a lot of like authenticity and a lot of heart in its previous games. So that's super interesting to me, and the idea of these two twins kind of bouncing memories off of each other is kind of interesting too. The engine also looked updated, so they might be working with more money this time around too, which would be great.
So does this game does not take place in the Life is Strange universe, correct?
I mean, they haven't said anything about that. It's entirely possible that it is.
Okay.
But as far as I know, it is not.
Okay. Yeah, it's always just hard for me to tell with Don't Nod, which I guess their whole history is Life is Strange for the most part, right?
Yeah, and they did Captain something.
Yeah, the like.
But that was also in the
prequel,
universe.
Yeah. And so I look at this and I'm like, oh, it's just Life is Strange again, And I know it's more about the subject matter and the story of it, but I have a hard time differentiating between all of these different Don't Nod products.
Yeah. So I think those are the things that stood out to me, at least in terms of games. I'm sure we'll talk about the stuff outside of games that was super interesting to us as well.
Mm-hmm. One thing that stood out to me was a number of games that were previously not on Xbox coming to Xbox, like Yakuza, Kingdom Hearts, and a lot of Final Fantasy games that hadn't made their way over yet. So that was neat.
Yeah, and that's just, I mean, it's another emphasis. It's another testament to Xbox's emphasis on their Eastern strategy. Like, they've always struggled in Japan, and those games plus Crossfire X, which is huge in Asian markets, coming over, like you can tell that Phil Spencer is really wanting to turn the tide there, because it's always been a bit of a wasteland for them trying to break into that market.
Yeah. One other quick thing I noticed was Annapurna has like a surprisingly significant presence. And that's just showing, I mean, it's evidence of something we've known for a while, but they're like really heavily investing in the indie game space, which is awesome. And one of the games, forget the name of it, it's the one that they had already announced. The Artful Escape looks really cool. And so it's cool that they're kind of further kind of indulging their partnership with Microsoft, because I think that can be really fruitful in the future.
Out of the indie games, I'm not sure if this was one of the the one that stood out to me, I loved the art style of the one with Ron Perlman.
Oh yeah,
I'm blanking on what that was called.
Does it have dead in the title?
Yeah, but you're like this guy that hunts the bad guys in purgatory. Like, it was a really interesting concept, and I loved the art.
And Ron Perlman's a badass.
Yeah, he improves everything.
It reminded me, there was a PlayStation top-down multiplayer game. What was the art reminded me a lot of that. It was like a top-down Western, real frenetic multiplayer game, but I can't remember what it was. So I guess this is a moot point. I apologize for bringing it up.
At no point in your rambling incoherent response.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. A few things that stood out to me. Number one was the emphasis on the number of studios that they purchased that are under the Xbox banner that have multiple teams now. They made it a real point to talk about, hey, Grounded is being made by a second team at Obsidian. They're still working on a single player experience, which I'm trying to, it may have been Ryan McCaffrey who had a tweet that was like, it's just sad that we live in a world that Obsidian can reveal something that looks as cool as Grounded, and the first thing they have to say when the trailer comes off is, hey, we're working on a single player game too, so that people don't just fucking lose their shit. So, but we had what was it, Everwild from Rare. They have a team that's continuing to work on Sea of Thieves, but they have another team that's working on Everwild. And I think it just goes to show this wasn't just Xbox saying, hey, we want to throw money behind these studios to get them exclusively over to our platform so that we can just port them over here, put a gate around them, and make people come to us to play them. It's about empowering these studios to go and deliver on creative visions that they may not have had the resources to go and deliver on in their previous state. And I think that's really, really cool. And I think that they've made a real point also to say, like, hey, we don't really want to have too much creative control over these studios. We want them to have a lot of creative autonomy within themselves. Like, I can't see a world where Obsidian goes and pitches Grounded to, as a free agent looking for a publisher, and them not just get immediately met with, why don't you just do New Vegas again? Why don't you just do what you're known for again? So it's really cool to see Microsoft allowing these studios to go out and do something that's different. And then the other thing that really jumped out to me was just I mean, we've got new consoles coming at the end of next year, but the volume of stuff that Xbox is planning to have out between now and when that happens is a little insane. Like, you know, I think Grounded didn't have a release date, but you know, like Bleeding Edge. What's that? Yeah, that we know of. Like Bleeding Edge is coming out in March, which is Ninja Theory's new character-driven like melee combat multiplayer game. There's new Sea of Thieves content. They're expanding on Halo. Let's see, what were some of the others? Yakuza, Kingdom Hearts, Wasteland 3 is coming in 2020. Like, they're not packing it in and saying, all right, we lost this generation, boys. Let's just get to the next Xbox and we'll go from there. Like, they're still committed to doing good things in their last year, and I think that's really cool. Trying to think if there's anything else. Any thoughts on either of those things?
No, I'm with you. That's really good to see. And at one point, I forget who was interviewing Phil Spencer, but she asked him, you know, can we expect this volume of content to continue? And he was like, yeah. so that's exciting.
Yeah. Overall, I thought it was, I don't know. The inside Xboxes, I think, are cool because I don't care about everything that's in them, but I also don't feel like I need to care about everything that's in them.
No.
I think they do such a good job, and this is something that Sony is terrible at, showing that they, as a company, care about each and every one of these individual projects and giving them the space to breathe on these stages. Like, it doesn't feel like boom, boom, boom. It doesn't feel like you're watching a YouTube playlist. They're bringing creators out and they're talking to them and they're passionate about it. I love what Xbox is doing with these inside Xboxes, with these events. It's just really cool to watch.
Yeah, I'm with you just on the seeing people come out who are really passionate about what they're making. Like that's what connects with me really well at these events. When I see that this person loves what they're pouring energy into, it makes me more willing to give it a try. More so even than seeing a really cool trailer. Not that I don't enjoy the really cool trailers too.
Yeah. Also, learning that Kart Rider Drift has an esports scene. So pretty cool. Which I guess if Farming Simulator can have a league, anything can have a league.
For real? There's a
Farming Simulator league. It's got like a load of money behind it, proving that esports is a bubble. All right. Any parting thoughts on XO19? I know we didn't talk about xCloud, but that's because our next topic is going to be wholly dedicated to the xCloud announcements there. So outside of that, have we said our piece about everything?
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.